Hey guys, welcome back to Inside Call Recording Studios. I have a great guest this week on Kicking It with Coach Webb. This man's name is Kyle Johnson. He's the JAG teacher at Charleston, and I've got to know him the last few years. We're down to the only two left in JAG from our first year coming in, and we'll talk more about that. But let's jump right into it here with Kyle Johnson from Charleston JAG. Man, it's great to have you here, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
This is cool. We're going to start right from the beginning, man. I want to know about you and maybe when and where were you born at?
Actually, I was born just down the road at Penobscot County Hospital in Hayti in 1981.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad worked for Brown Shoe, and my dad's whole family's from Crothersville, so I'm actually from around the area, and moved away and came back and stuff like that.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you got a lot of Boot Hill blood in you.
Yeah, I was born that way. I mean, that's where we spend every Christmas, every other holiday. We're always in Crothersville and all that. And people ask me where I was born, I'd say, if I wrote it down, they'd think it was Haiti. And I was like, no, I'm from I was born in a small town in the Boot Hill, Missouri.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Fredericktown for a while, and then on to Arkansas.
People don't realize it, but there's Southeast Missouri and the Boot Hill. I mean, they're all together, but really, there's a big difference between like a Fredericktown and the Boot Hill area.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just it's weird how diverse the state is. But if you look at it just like that culturally and everything, and you start getting up that way, it feels more like Midwest. But if you get Benton Hill South, I mean, this area really tends to lean more toward like Southern cultures and stuff, whereas you start getting up Cape and all that area, it feels more Midwesty to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Charleston. Charleston, a lot of the people there, Charlestonians, think they're from the good old South.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that, and which is fine. I mean, we have a lot of big Victorian houses and stuff, and a lot of old homes and stuff like that. But I can definitely see what you're talking about. I think Cape is definitely, well, like you said, Benton right there. That's definitely the cutoff line.
I think
for
so
sure.
too.
For sure.
So let's talk about you when you were a kid, man. So you Fredericktown, bounced around a little bit. So where were you at during like middle school? Where'd you go to middle school?
Middle school, that was actually where we moved. We moved to Fredericktown when I was 3 from Crothersville.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was 13. So middle school 6, half of 7th grade.
Okay.
And my dad was like, hey, Brown Shoe shut down. Let's go move to Arkansas. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not at all. And that's where my mom's from. And so we moved to my mom's hometown of Pocahontas, which ended up being, God had a plan for us, because if we didn't move there, I wouldn't have my whole life. And I lived there from the start of middle school, my 7th grade year, in the middle of my 7th grade year. So if you can imagine, short, pudgy, little fat boy. I mean, I always made friends. I always had friends with me.
Yeah.
But we moved to Pocahontas, Arkansas, and that's really where my formative years was, in Pocahontas.
Okay. Well,
And,
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I remember my first day of school like it was yesterday, because I had 3 guys ended up becoming pretty good friends with me over the years. But first day I was at school, if you ever heard the term FUBAR, which I think most people know, I won't go into what it means, but they said, hey, you know what FUBAR is? I said, no. And they said, that's what's going to happen to you after school. And I'm like, what? Well, I show up into this Arkansas school with my Blues jacket on and my Blues hat on, because in Fredericktown, you were fans of hockey.
Yeah.
And in Arkansas, not so much. And it turns out they were just messing with me. And it ended up played football with them, became good friends with them. But ended up being the best move of our lives, I have lifelong friends there, and still do today.
Really?
That's where most of my friends are from.
So Pocahontas is probably what, a little more than from Kennon, I'm guessing it's like, I think it's about an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, about an hour and a half, maybe. No, hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, you're right.
From here, and then Charleston was about
hour and 10.
Oh, okay, because it's just straight over and down. Then okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so that's good.
It's 2 hours. And the thing is, I've always told people I was born in Southeast Missouri. I have a Southeast Missouri, Northeast Arkansas accent.
Yeah.
Because you get into Arkansas and it's y'all and hi and bye, and then you get into Southeast Missouri, you still have a little bit of that. but you're not as backwards as Arkansas
Yeah,
people.
that makes
But-
sense. Yeah, those eyes don't last as long.
No,
Yeah.
they don't. They don't.
And yeah, okay. So that's good. So let's talk a little bit about high school. Like, so you get into high school, you said that you played football. So
Yeah.
let's talk about athletics and stuff. What did you do in high school?
Well, I played 7th, 8th, and 9th grade and 10th grade. And in Arkansas, you don't start high school until 10th grade. I mean, you're a freshman in 9th grade, but you're still in middle school. But you're still in the building anyway, and you play middle school sports.
Weird.
Yeah, it was different. We played 9-game season in 9th grade. And then when I got into high school, I played 10th grade, and I was a manager my junior and senior year.
Okay.
It wasn't meant in the cards for me to play. I played 4 minutes of varsity my sophomore year, and I was like, that's probably about it for me. I'm good to go.
Had enough.
But I wanted to be around the sport. I love
Sure.
football. I wasn't built for it. And I played golf in high school. I was on the school paper. I was a sports editor and editor my senior year. That was probably my big thing I loved to do. And I traveled in a couple clubs we were in. I got to go to Disney World and Louisville, Kentucky, and I traveled all over the place with the clubs I was in and stuff. I always tell everybody, even now, even at Charleston, I tell these kids to get involved as much as you can. You get to go everywhere.
Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about that. We haven't had anybody on the channel yet who has been that way. Like usually the people who've been on so far have all been like involved in athletics for the most part, like as athletes. So let's kind of expand on that a little bit. So you're telling me that it's just as cool to do those other things.
Oh yeah.
And be a part of those things. So like you got to go to Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you got to write. So tell us a little bit about writing the sports editor. What's that?
Well,
all about?
my big thing was at the time I started I always wanted to be on the school paper.
Yeah.
And so I joined it my sophomore year as a cartoonist and did these little stick people drawings and stuff. And so sorry, I don't have COVID. But I did that, and then I always a super athletic fan, but at the same time I was raised, sci-fi fantasy kid. So my dad always said you want to be best of both worlds. And so, and my sister was always involved in all these clubs, and I was like, I got to see what she did. She got to go to all these different towns and stuff. And so, one club I was in it was a drug-free program, and my sophomore year we got to go to Disney World for a week. Well, we were around there, and then my senior year we went to Louisville, Kentucky to their national convention.
Really?
Yeah, and my thing is like if you're an FFA or whether you're in a drug-free club or you're in anything that you can travel with, like with JAG, and we take a lot of field trips, yeah. And that's one of the reasons the kids want to be in there. But and the thing is that not only do you get to see these different things and experience these different things, they open your mind up to what life is,
Yeah.
and what's out there. You're not just stuck, well, I have to live here and I have to do this. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And you know that especially because you've been all over and I've been all over.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's one reason my mom was always like, oh, do everything. You might suck at it, but at least try it. And I learned what I was good at and learned what I was bad at.
Yeah.
Stuff like
And
that.
that's cool because then you made a lot of friends through those things and that's
Oh, yeah.
carried with you. So you're in high school. You were very involved. You did lots of things. You were part of lots of programs.
Mhm.
So then it's time to graduate, and you graduate. So then what did you do? Where did your life take you after you graduated high
Well,
school?
I only had one thing in mind, and my sister went there, and my brother-in-law went there. They went to Williams Baptist College at the time, and it's university now. It's
Where's that at?
Walnut Ridge, Arkansas.
Okay.
It's between Paragould and Pocahontas. It's about 30 minutes from Paragould.
Okay.
And so from here, it's probably, here it's
Is
not.
it big or a little place?
It's an NAIA Division I.
Okay.
But they probably, when I went there 20 years ago, there was probably 700 kids on campus. Now there's probably close to 1,200.
Really?
It's super big. I mean, there's nothing to do in Walnut Ridge, but the campus is super huge now, and they have almost every sport except football. But it's a super pretty campus. They have all kinds of majors and stuff. Well, my dad had went there when it was Southern Baptist College in the late 60s, and then my sister went there, my brother-in-law went there, and it's 15 minutes from Pocahontas. So, I went and toured it, and it was really the only place I wanted to go. And so I sing a little bit in choir and stuff, so I tried out for their choir and made it, got a scholarship.
Really?
And I traveled around with the Williams Baptist College Singers for 3 years.
Where all did you get to go?
Oh gosh, all over the state of Arkansas. There is not a church I have not seen in this state, probably. Well, in Arkansas anyway.
Yeah.
A little bit in southeast Missouri, not a whole lot. We went to Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think they've traveled to Texas since then, some other surrounding states. But every weekend in your spring semester, you're going. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, see, and I think that's important that we talk about those things just for a minute, because I think a lot of times people forget, you know, in our culture, in our society these days, everything right now is so about athletics. It's all you see posted.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I committed here. Hey, I'm going to do this. Or sometimes people wish away their high school because they're so focused on what they're trying to do after high school, and they miss it.
Oh, yeah.
But so you're telling me that you had a wonderful time in college, and you got the chance to travel the world and get part of it
paid for. Yeah.
And you didn't do one thing with athletics in college.
No, I was a PE major, but I didn't. That's a whole nother story.
Right, well, we'll get to it, but yeah.
But I really didn't. I mean, I played intramurals and stuff like that,
yeah.
which was awesome because
yeah.
I mean, I got to be a part and actually play something and have fun. We had baseball season, football season, baseball or softball, football, and volleyball and basketball, and it was so much fun. I think it's so competitive, and I mean, and people loved it.
Yeah.
And but the traveling, like for choir for singers, we practiced all the first semester, and then we had our own tour bus. In my last 2 years, they bought us jumpsuits to make us feel like we were athletes or something, and so it was really cool. We got to stay in. I stayed with a guy one time in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Okay, he helped direct the Passion Play out there for like 20 years or 30 years.
Really?
Well, he was also stationed in Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, and he took a picture of the USS Arizona blowing up.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and it was on some magazine. He was showing us and stuff, and he's like, I was there. It was like the craziest thing in the world. And I mean, that's just one part, because you stayed in host homes when you went, and it was just people like that. I got to stay on top of a mountain one time in somebody's guest bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, and as soon as you stepped outside, you're feeling breezes all the time. I mean, it's just, you remember the people you stayed with, and we stayed in a millionaire's home in Covington, Tennessee one time. They had their own lake and jet skis behind their house. I mean, it's just, you remember stuff like that. And it's just experiences. It's all about experiences.
And that's important because, you know, because there's a lot of people out there who maybe love sports and want to be a part of it, which and I know when we were talking about your biography, we realized it's going to circle around you know, with that, but you know, maybe you have other things in the cards, you know. So I think the important part is, like you said, maybe be the best of both worlds. Don't limit yourself to just saying, hey, I'm only this, because you know what I found is, you know, a lot of people are way more than even what they think.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. I wasn't much of an athlete, but I loved athletics.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay. So that's cool about that. All right, so you're at Williams Baptist. You're doing all kinds of stuff. You're singing. You're a part of everything. Did you end up? So you're PE major, is what you said.
My first three years.
So let's kind of go into your major and maybe tell us a little bit about maybe toward the end of Williams Baptist. You know, how all of those things, how'd that all play out for you?
Well, this is where it gets a little interesting. You know, you're young, you're 21, and I met a girl in high school, and then she came back around my life my junior year of college, and just fell in love.
Yeah.
But what I thought was love either way. It's not neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get out of college. I was tired. I had been there, and I had. After 4 years, I realized I didn't want to be a PE teacher, just wasn't what I like to do. And I knew I wanted to teach, but I was more concerned about getting married and having kids. That was my main goal in life, was always been to be married and have kids. I didn't care really what else happened. And I found a route to that, and I was like, well, I'll just get a gen ed degree, bachelor's, and get out. Well, I got to my last semester, and I failed Spanish 2, and I didn't graduate. I was 3 credits short. And I said, well, we'll go ahead and give you your associates. And I said, okay. And I was like, I'll just go back and retake it, it'll be fine. Well, I was working at Walmart. I got married my second senior, because it took me 5 years. And I got
married. I mean, does a lot of people. I mean,
especially,
you know how it is.
Definitely,
crazy.
definitely. I didn't take any summer courses and stuff like that. So, and I was young and dumb, and I got married in 03, and then graduated in 05, we had our first child. We had Aiden. He's 16
So did
now.
you? So when you say graduated, did you?
Got my associates.
You got your associates.
Yep,
Fine.
yep.
Okay. All right.
Got my associates, and then got married. I got married, had our first child, Aiden,
Mm-hmm.
in '04. Graduated in '05 with my associates, and then went to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you ever go back and finish the other one?
Well, yeah, I did in 2018.
Really?
I went through the course of a whole bunch of stuff that happened in life. Had two beautiful daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Got divorced. I was raising 3 kids on my own. When I was 25, had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 8-month-old.
Yeah.
By myself,
Yeah.
and for 3 years. And I met a lady in 2008
Okay.
named Tracy. She's from Charleston.
Okay.
She lived in Springfield, and this is a part of it. The reason I say this.
Yeah.
I tell
Okay.
you this.
Yeah. Okay.
She lived in Springfield for 10 years. Graduated in Charleston in '99. Lived in Springfield for 10 years, and then we started talking on the phone. A buddy of mine I grew up in Fredericktown with.
Really?
Hadn't talked to him in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we started connecting after I got divorced, and he said, "Hey, I got a girl I want you to meet." I said, "Okay." We talked, and she finally moved back to Charleston. I said, "Hey, you want to make a go of this?" And we went on a date. And talked for a little longer, and then started dating, and that was 12 years ago, and we've been married for 10 years now. I mean, in October we've been married for 10 years.
Yeah.
She's raised these babies as her own, you know. She's been raising them since they were 4, 3, and 2, so they call her mom, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff. But anyway, I lead to that because it led to everything else that happened. You know, I started working in water and wastewater in '05.
And where were you living then?
Pocahontas.
You're still in Pocahontas?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I lived there I did that for 5 years there, and then I did it for 7 in Charleston.
So you're in Pocahontas.
Yep.
You get married to Tracy not in Pocahontas, but you're married to her while you lived in Pocahontas.
No. I married.
Okay.
Well, that's what brought us to Charleston.
Okay, so
Yep.
when you got married to Tracy, you and the kiddos moved to Charleston.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
then you did waste and water there.
and water. Yeah. in
So like,
Charleston.
when you do that, what kind of work is that? What are you doing? You know?
Well, anytime you flush the toilet,
Yeah.
that water, you might just think it disappears, and it doesn't. You've got to treat it before you send it back out. And a lot of places, especially like they're around rivers, not necessarily in Kennett, because you guys don't do it, but if you're like close to Black River, they use reconstituted water. So water that gets you go to the bathroom in Poplar Bluff, that water goes to Corning, Arkansas.
Okay.
They take that water and purify it, and they drink it, and then their wastewater goes to Pocahontas. They take that water, they purify it, and you drink it, and so forth, all down the line. Southeast Missouri's not like that so much.
Dude, I don't know. Is that gross or no?
When you first think about it, you're like, what? But
Yeah,
the thing is,
I'm right there. That's where I'm in the woods.
But what happens is that that water has to be clean going out as it was coming in. So whatever river you're swimming in, it's all clean wastewater. It's not like it goes straight from your toilet to the water, because that's poison. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Because there's a Clean Water Drinking Act.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. So I mean,
what,
I did that
what happens to it? Like, where does the water? How do they? Do you know much about the process?
Yeah, that's all I did.
Yeah. So
I mean,
how do you get this dirty water?
to be clean water?
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
I mean, maybe like the layman's version of this.
Well, okay. The easiest way is you nuke it, like clean water. Like in Charleston and like Kennett, I think it's the same way. There's a big aquifer. We get it from the ground. It's all natural water, and we get there's a lot of iron deposits in it, so you have to aerate it and let it just bubble. Put a little chlorine with it, a little fluoride, kill the bacteria, helps your teeth, and then they send it out. And then when the wastewater comes out and they pump it into a stream or whatever, I know Charleston uses ultraviolet light and aeration. When you use aeration, there's these bacteria that they eat up all the bad stuff, all the bacteria and all this stuff. And then it goes for UV light and it kills all the bacteria, bad bacteria and stuff.
Really?
And then it just goes, it's crystal clear coming out. I mean,
That's crazy.
that's the layman's term, but I mean, there's a lot more into it. But
So
that's
like,
pretty much what happens.
like your poop water
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
That's in California. That's all they do. It's just one big cycle. Like the city of Los Angeles and other big cities, they just do this all day long. They keep using their water, and then
And it's okay and it's safe.
yeah, it's perfectly safe because it gets treated. I mean,
Yeah.
And
So kinda weird.
some people are like bottled water is bad for you. It's just treated water.
It's the same
water.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, water. It might when it rains, it's going somewhere. It's all about the cycle.
So like this is just somebody's tap water anyway. Somebody
Yeah,
else's
pretty
tap
much.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's
And that's
great.
why I'm a big proponent of drinking right out of the tap. I mean,
Yeah,
because I've
is it-
worked it. I did wastewater for 5 years. Did water after that for 7. I fixed water leaks. I fixed city ditches. Built baseball fields. I mean, I commend the city of Charleston. They have the best crew I've ever been around, and so does Pocahontas. But a city and water crew that David Harris, our my old boss, he taught me how to do a backhoe. He taught me how to do concrete. Taught me how to do everything.
Really?
And I thank God I learned it. But also, it's what led me to where I'm at now.
Okay, all right, so let's talk about that briefly. So we're in Charleston. You got the fam, you got the new wonderful wife.
Oh yeah.
Helping you take care of these kids, doing everything right, working for
City of Charleston.
working for the city of Charleston.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know you ever of working there, I've met you after that.
Yeah.
So how do you go from working in the city of Charleston, doing all these things, to now, heck, like you've been teaching now in 3 full years for Charleston. How did you go from that to JAG, and maybe what was that process for you like?
It was kind of interesting because I had always wanted to teach, but I've always been overweight, and I had thrown my back out probably, I don't know, probably 5 times in 7 years, but it happened like 3 times in the last year I was there. And when I'm talking about throwing out your back, you get a slip disc or whatever, you're not moving.
Yeah, you're laying flat.
And so you're when you get to work, you're like, oh, you can't do anything. Well, you have, and it's not safe.
Yeah.
And it wasn't safe for the people I was in ditches with or something like that, and for myself. So, I had been thinking, and what happened was I smoked for like 10 years, and I quit. I gained like 60 pounds. And so I couldn't move